A billionaire went to visit his daughter's grave when he suddenly noticed a man kneeling and crying uncontrollably, with a playful little boy beside him carefully stacking small stones. Curious, he walked closer to see who they were. The moment the boy stopped, lifted his head and looked at him, the billionaire froze. The child looked so much like Sarah, his daughter, that he could barely breathe. Stunned, he glanced from the boy to the grieving man, waiting for an explanation for why they were standing at his daughter's resting place. But what he didn't know was that the truth he was about to hear would change everything he believed about the last 10 years of his life. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from. And subscribe, because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. Daddy, you promised. Harrison Blake heard those words in his sleep, had been hearing them for 18 years. He was standing in Dubai International Airport, phone pressed to his ear, briefcase in hand. On the other end, his 6-year-old daughter was crying. Not the theatrical crying kids do when they want something. Real crying. The kind that breaks you. Sarah, sweetheart, I know, I said I'd be there, but this meeting, you always have meetings. Her voice cracked. I made you a crown. I made it all by myself. Harrison's chest tightened. Through the phone, he heard party sounds, kids laughing, a door closing. Then Catherine's voice, cold and sharp. She waited for you, Harrison. 4 hours. She wouldn't let me cut the cake. Cat, I'll make it up to her. No, you won't. Because you never do. The line went dead. Harrison had boarded his flight, made his deal. $200 million. Everyone had congratulated him. He'd sent an expensive dollhouse. Sarah never played with it. Now, 18 years later, Harrison's eyes snapped open at 3 a.m. Same time. Every October 14th, he sat up in his king-sized bed, alone. The sheets were Egyptian cotton, changed twice a week. The penthouse was silent except for the hum of the city 63 floors below. Everything in his world was glass and steel and perfect angles. Nothing warm, nothing alive. His hands were shaking. Harrison Blake's hands never shook, not when he signed billion-dollar deals, not when he faced down investors or rivals or anyone who thought they could take what was his. But every year on this day, his hands remembered what it felt like to fail. He stood, walked to his closet, pulled out a simple black suit. No tie, no flash. He dressed in the dark, moving through motions he'd repeated for 10 years. Outside, Manhattan glittered like broken glass. At 3:47 a.m., Harrison took the private elevator to the parking garage. His Mercedes S-Class sat waiting, black and immaculate. He slid behind the wheel, started the engine, and drove into the empty streets. 2 hours to Greenwood Cemetery, 2 hours to prepare himself to face what he'd lost. The highway was dark, nearly empty, just Harrison and a few long-haul trucks. He drove in silence. No radio, no distractions, just his thoughts and the road. His phone buzzed. Tokyo. He ignored it. It buzzed again. London. He turned it off. For 364 days a year, Harrison Blake belonged to Blake Enterprises. He built empires, destroyed competitors, made grown men sweat in boardrooms. But today, October 14th, today he belonged to his dead daughter. The sky was starting to lighten when he pulled off the highway. Small towns, gas stations, the kind of America Harrison never saw from his tower. He'd built half the Manhattan skyline, but he'd forgotten what grass looked like, what real trees looked like, not the manicured ones in corporate plazas. Greenwood Cemetery appeared as the sun broke the horizon. Old iron gates, rolling hills, oak trees older than his company. Sarah's grave was on a hill under a massive oak. She'd always loved trees. Harrison parked, engine still running. Through the windshield, he could see the path. He'd walked it 10 times. Once a year, every year since they'd buried her. What? His hands gripped the steering wheel. Get out of the car, Harrison, he muttered to himself. You do this every year. Get out of the damn car. But his body wouldn't move. 10 years ago, the phone call that ended everything. Harrison had been in Tokyo, 3 in the morning, dead asleep in his hotel room. His phone had lit up. Catherine's name. He'd almost ignored it. They'd been divorced for 12 years by then, rarely spoke, but something made him answer. Harrison. Her voice was destroyed, completely hollow. There was an accident. His blood went cold. What happened? Is Sarah? She's gone. Catherine said it like she couldn't believe it herself. Harrison, she's gone. Our daughter is gone. The hotel room had tilted. Harrison had sat down hard on the bed, phone pressed so tight to his ear it hurt. What do you mean gone? What happened? Car accident. The bridge was slick. The driver lost control. Sarah was... Catherine's voice broke. She was in the passenger seat. They said it was instant. She didn't suffer. Harrison's mouth moved, but no sound came out. I need you to come home, Catherine whispered. Please, I need you to come home now. He'd caught the next flight. 17 hours of staring at the seat in front of him, unable to cry, unable to think, unable to do anything but breathe. 24 years old. Sarah had been 24 years old. Harrison finally turned off the engine. The silence was absolute. He reached to the passenger seat, picked up the single red rose he'd bought at a 24-hour bodega. Same as every year. One rose. That was the ritual. He got out of the car. The morning air was cold, sharp. Fall in New York, Sarah's favorite season. You always smelled like cinnamon in the fall, Harrison said to the empty parking lot. His voice sounded strange. He rarely talked to himself, rarely talked to anyone about anything real. He started walking. The path wound up the hill between old graves and older trees. His footsteps were loud on the gravel. Too loud. Everything was too loud. Sarah's headstone came into view. Simple. Elegant. Catherine had chosen it. Sarah Marie. Blake-beloved daughter, sister, friend, forever in our hearts. Harrison stopped 20 feet away. His chest was tight. His throat was closed. This was always the hardest part. Getting close. Admitting she was really here. Really gone. Hey, sweetheart, he whispered. It's me. I'm here. I came back just like I always do. He took 3 more steps. Then he heard it. Crying. Real crying. Raw and broken and human. Harrison froze. Someone else was at Sarah's grave. He moved closer, staying quiet. Through the oak branches, he could see a man kneeling in front of Sarah's headstone. Mid-30s, wearing a worn jacket, face buried in his hands. His shoulders shook with sobs that sounded like they were being ripped from somewhere deep inside him. And, next to the man, a small boy, 9, maybe 10 years old. He was building something from small stones he'd gathered, stacking them carefully into a little pyramid. He wore a purple jacket that was slightly too big and sneakers that had seen better days. Harrison's world stopped. This was his place, his private moment, his one day a year with Sarah. Who the hell were these people? He stepped forward, snapping a twig. The sound echoed. The man's head jerked up, red eyes, tear-streaked face. The boy looked up too. And Harrison's heart stopped. The boy had blue eyes, deep blue with flecks of gold, Sarah's exact eyes. Who are you? Harrison heard himself say. His voice came out rough, demanding. This is my daughter's grave. The man stood slowly, wiping his face with his sleeve. He looked at Harrison with something like recognition. I know who you are, Mr. Blake. His voice was steady despite the tears. I'm Marcus, and this... He put his hand on the boy's shoulder. This is Henry. The boy stared at Harrison with those impossible, familiar eyes. Hello, Henry said quietly. His voice was small but clear. Are you here to visit my mom too? The world tilted. Harrison looked at the man, at the boy, at Sarah's grave, back to the boy. What did you just say? Harrison whispered. Marcus took a breath. His hand tightened on Henry's shoulder. Henry is Sarah's son, Marcus said. Your grandson. The red rose fell from Harrison's hand. Harrison couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The words echoed in his head like they were being shouted in an empty stadium. Your grandson. That's not possible. His voice came out flat, dead. Sarah didn't have a son. I would have known. Someone would have told me. Marcus didn't flinch. She did, and she didn't tell you because she knew you wouldn't approve. Approve of what? Harrison's hands clenched into fists. What the hell are you talking about? Henry picked up another stone, adding it to his little pyramid. His hands were steady, like he'd heard this conversation before, like none of this surprised him. Marcus looked down at the boy, then back at Harrison. Can we talk? Not here. Henry, buddy, can you give us a minute? I'm okay, Henry said. He didn't look up from his stones. I know you're going to tell him about Dad. Harrison's head was spinning. Dad, who? My best friend, Marcus said quietly. Adrian Cole. He was Sarah's boyfriend. They were together for 3 years. They were going to get married. The ground felt unsteady beneath Harrison's feet. He looked at Sarah's headstone, at the dates carved in stone. Born. Died. Nothing about a boyfriend. Nothing about a baby. I don't understand, Harrison said. Sarah was 24 when she died. If she had a son, he'd be 9, Marcus finished. Henry just turned 9 in August. Sarah was pregnant when she died. She had him 2 months before the accident. Harrison's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the grass. Expensive suit be damned. His brain was trying to process information that didn't make sense. 2 months, he repeated. She had a baby 2 months before she died, and nobody told me. Nobody told you because you weren't there to tell. Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. Mr. Blake, when's the last time you actually spoke to Sarah? Really spoke to her? Harrison opened his mouth, closed it. His mind went blank. When had he last spoken to her? Christmas, he said finally. 2 years before she died. We had lunch. She seemed fine. She wasn't fine, Marcus said. She was miserable. She told me about that lunch, said you spent the whole time on your phone. She left after 40 minutes. The words hit like physical blows. Harrison remembered that lunch. Vaguely. Some restaurant in Midtown. Sarah had ordered salad. He'd taken 3 calls during the meal. She'd said it was fine. She'd smiled. She said it was fine, Harrison said weakly. She lied, Marcus said. She was good at lying to you. She'd had a lot of practice. Harrison looked up at him. Who are you? Why do you know all this? Marcus sat down on the grass across from him. Henry continued stacking stones between them, creating a small barrier. Adrian was my best friend since we were kids, Marcus said. Sarah met him at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. He was a carpenter, made furniture, custom pieces. He wasn't rich, wasn't flashy, just a good guy who loved your daughter. A carpenter. Harrison heard the disdain in his own voice and hated himself for it. Yeah, Marcus said, and now there was an edge to his tone. A carpenter. Someone who actually showed up. Someone who remembered her birthday. Someone who didn't cancel on her every time work got busy. That's not fair, isn't it? Marcus leaned forward. Sarah told me everything, Mr. Blake. Every missed birthday, every canceled dinner, every time you promised to be there and weren't. She said you loved her, but you loved your buildings more. Harrison's throat was burning. I gave her everything. Private schools, college tuition, anything she wanted, except yourself. Marcus's voice cracked. She didn't want your money. She wanted her dad. And when she finally gave up trying, she found Adrian, and he gave her what you never did. He was there. Henry placed the last stone on his pyramid. It balanced perfectly. He looked at it with satisfaction. Then it looked at Harris's. My dad proposed to Mom on the Brooklyn Bridge, Henry said. His voice was matter-of-fact, like he was reciting a story he'd been told many times. He made the ring himself, silver. Mom said it was the most beautiful thing anyone ever gave her. Harrison couldn't speak. This child, his grandson, was talking about his mother with such clarity, such love. She was happy, Henry continued. She told Uncle Marcus she was so happy she felt like she was dreaming. And then I was born, and she said I was the best thing that ever happened to her. Uncle Marcus? Harrison looked between them. Adrian was my brother, Marcus said. Not by blood, but in every way that mattered. When Henry was born, Sarah asked me to be his godfather. I was at the hospital. I held him 20 minutes after he came into the world. Where is he? Harrison's voice was hoarse. Where's Adrian? Marcus's face crumpled. Fresh tears spilled down his cheeks. He was driving, Marcus whispered. The night of the accident, he was driving. Harrison's blood went cold. My sister Elena was in the car too, Marcus continued. She'd had 1 glass of wine at dinner. Just 1. The roads were slick. It was raining. Adrian took a turn too fast on the bridge, and the car hydroplaned. They hit the guardrail. The car flipped. Henry had stopped playing with stones. He was staring at his hands. Sarah was in the passenger seat, Marcus said. Elena was in the back with Henry in his car seat. The impact. His voice broke. Sarah and Elena died at the scene. Adrian died in the ambulance. Henry survived without a scratch, just screaming in his car seat surrounded by... Marcus couldn't finish. He covered his face with his hands. Harrison felt like he was drowning. How did I not know any of this? Because Sarah never told you about Adrian, Marcus said through his fingers. Never told you she was pregnant. Never told you anything because she knew you wouldn't care. Or worse, you'd try to control it. Try to fix it with money or lawyers or whatever it is you do. I would have cared, Harrison said, but even he didn't believe it. Would you? Marcus dropped his hands. His eyes were red and raw. Would you have dropped everything to meet your daughter's boyfriend, the carpenter from Brooklyn? Would you have thrown her a baby shower? Held your grandson? Harrison had no answer. She wrote you a letter, Marcus said quietly, right before she died. She was going to mail it. She wanted to give you one more chance, let you meet Henry, let you be a grandfather, but she never got to send it. Where is it? The words came out desperate. Where's the letter? Marcus reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out an envelope, cream-colored, slightly worn at the edges, Sarah's handwriting on the front. Dad, just that one word. Harrison's hand shook as he took it. Read it later, Marcus said. Not here, not now. Harrison stared at the envelope. His daughter's last words to him, written 10 years ago. Waiting. Why are you here? Harrison asked. Why do you bring him here? Because this is his mother, Marcus said simply. He deserves to know her, even if it's just a grave, even if all I can do is tell him stories and let him leave stones and cry when he needs to. Harrison looked at Henry. The boy was watching him with those blue eyes, Sarah's eyes. Where do you live? Harrison heard himself ask. Brooklyn, Marcus said. I work at the cemetery. Maintenance. Been here 7 years. Pay isn't great, but it lets me be close to them, close to my family. And you've been raising him? Alone? Yes. Marcus's voice was firm. I made a promise to Adrian and Sarah. I promised if anything ever happened, I'd take care of Henry. So I am. Harrison's throat was tight. This stranger, this cemetery worker, had done what Harrison had never managed to do. Showed up, been present, raised a child with love instead of money. I want to know him, Harrison said. The words came out before he could stop them. I want to know my grandson. Marcus studied him for a long moment. Henry had gone back to his stones, rebuilding the pyramid that had fallen. Why? Marcus asked. Why now? Where were you for 9 years? I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask, Marcus interrupted. You didn't care enough to find out what was happening in Sarah's life, and now she's dead, and suddenly you want to be grandfather of the year? The accusation stung because it was true. I can't change the past, Harrison said quietly. God knows I want to, but I can't. All I can do is try to be better now. For him. Marcus looked at Henry, who was humming softly to himself as he played. He's been through enough, Marcus said. Lost his parents. Lost everything. I'm not letting you hurt him just because you feel guilty. I don't want to hurt him, Harrison said. I just want to know him. That's all. Please. Marcus stood up, brushing grass off his jeans. I need to think about it. This isn't just about you and your feelings. This is about what's best for Henry. I understand, Harrison said, though every part of him wanted to argue, wanted to demand, wanted to use his power and influence to force this. But something in Marcus's steady gaze told him that approach would destroy any chance he had. Henry looked up. Uncle Marcus, can we go get pancakes now? You promised. Yeah, buddy. Marcus's face softened instantly. We can go. Henry stood, dusting off his hands. He walked over to Harrison, who was still sitting on the grass, and held out a small stone. This is for you, Henry said. You can put it on Mom's grave if you want. That's what I do, so she knows we were here. Harrison took the stone. It was smooth and warm from Henry's hand. His vision blurred. Thank you, he managed. Henry smiled. It was Sarah's smile, the same crooked grin she'd had as a little girl. You look sad, Henry observed. Adults get sad a lot. It's okay to be sad. Then he turned and took Marcus's hand. They started walking down the path toward the parking lot. Harrison sat frozen, holding the stone. He watched them go. This man who'd done everything right, and this boy who had Sarah's eyes and Sarah's smile and Sarah's kindness. His grandson. He had a grandson. Harrison didn't know how long he sat there. The sun rose higher. Birds sang. Other people came to visit other graves. He didn't move. Finally, he placed the stone on Sarah's headstone, added the red rose beside it. His hands were steadier now. I'm sorry, he whispered to the carved letters. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I failed you. I failed you every single day, and I didn't even see it until it was too late. The stone said nothing. The dead didn't answer. But I have a chance now, he continued. A chance to do better. To be better. For him. For Henry. I don't know if I deserve it. I know I don't. But I'm asking anyway. Help me, please. Help me not screw this up." The wind rustled through the oak leaves. Harrison stood, knees protesting. He was 54 years old, and for the first time in decades, he felt it. He walked back to his car like a man in a dream, got in, sat in the driver's seat. The envelope was still in his hand. Dad Harrison's fingers trembled as he opened it. The paper inside was lined, torn from a spiral notebook. Sarah's handwriting filled both sides. He recognized it immediately. She'd always written in blue ink, always made her A's with a little flourish. "Dear Dad, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to send it, but I need to write it anyway. I need to say these things, even if you never hear them. I'm 24 years old, and I have a son. His name is Henry. He's 2 months old, and he's perfect. He has your eyes, well, my eyes, which I got from you. He has Adrian's hands, long and graceful. He laughs in his sleep. Isn't that amazing? A baby who laughs in his sleep. You don't know about Henry. You don't know about Adrian. I never told you because I was scared, not of you being angry. I stopped caring about that years ago. I was scared you'd try to fix it, try to make it fit into your world of deals and bottom lines and strategic advantages. Adrian isn't rich. He's a carpenter. He makes furniture in a workshop in Brooklyn. He proposed with a ring he made himself because he couldn't afford a diamond. And you know what? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever owned because he made it with his hands, because he spent 3 weeks getting it perfect, because he loves me. That's what I needed, Dad. Not money, not opportunities, just someone who loved me enough to be there, to show up, to remember my birthday without his assistant reminding him. I used to think it was my fault, that I wasn't important enough, wasn't interesting enough, wasn't worth your time. But I know now that it was never about me. It was about you. Your choices, your priorities, and I'm angry about that. I'm so angry I could scream, but I'm also tired of being angry. It's exhausting, and life is too short. I have a baby now, and suddenly I understand how precious time is, how quickly it goes. So I'm writing this to tell you that I'm done waiting for you to change. I'm done hoping you'll suddenly become the father I needed, but I'm also writing to give you one last chance. Henry is your grandson. He's family. And if you want to know him, really know him, not just send expensive gifts and show up once a year, then I'm willing to let you try. But you have to try, Dad. Really try. No more last-minute cancellations. No more phone calls during dinner. No more choosing work over family. I'm moving to a cabin upstate, somewhere quiet, somewhere Henry can grow up with trees and clean air, somewhere far from your world. Adrian and I are getting married in the spring. Small ceremony, just friends. You're invited. If you want to come, if you want to meet your grandson and my future husband and be part of our life, but only if you're ready to actually be present. I hope you are, Dad. I really do. Because despite everything, I still love you. I just don't like you very much right now, and I want Henry to have a grandfather. Every kid should have that. So this is your chance. One more chance. What you do with it is up to you. Love, Sarah. P.S. Henry's middle name is Harrison. I thought you should know that. Harrison read the letter 3 times, then a 4th. His tears fell on the paper, smudging the ink. She'd named her son after him. After everything he'd done, or failed to do, she'd still given her baby his name. Henry Harrison Cole, his grandson. Harrison pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He'd turned it off earlier. Now he powered it on and scrolled through contacts until he found the one he needed. The phone rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "Blake, Jesus, it's early. What do you need?" "Frank," Harrison said. His voice was rough. "I need you to find someone for me. Marcus Cole. Works at Greenwood Cemetery. Get me everything. Address, financial records, employment history, everything." "Sure, but why?" "Just do it. I need it by tonight." "Tonight?" "Harrison, I don't care what it costs. I need this information now." Okay. Give me until 5. Harrison hung up. He sat in the parking lot of Greenwood Cemetery, holding his dead daughter's letter. And for the first time in years, he let himself cry. Really cry. Not the silent tears he'd shed in hotel rooms. Full, ugly, broken sobs that shook his entire body. He cried for Sarah, for the father he'd never been, for the years he'd wasted, for the letter he'd never received, for the grandson he'd never known existed. He cried until there was nothing left. Then he wiped his face, started the car, and drove back to Manhattan. He had work to do. By 5 p.m., Frank had delivered. A folder appeared on Harrison's desk via courier. Inside was everything about Marcus Cole's life, laid out in black and white. Harrison read it like a man studying a contract. Every detail mattered. Marcus David Cole, 36 years old, born in Queens, no college degree. Worked various jobs before landing at Greenwood Cemetery 7 years ago. Annual salary, $38,000. No criminal record. No debt beyond a small student loan he'd co-signed for his sister, Elena, who died in the accident. Current residence, a 2-bedroom apartment in Crown Heights. Rent, $1,800 to $1,800 a month. Utilities averaging $200. Groceries, clothes, Henry's school expenses, medical costs. It was all there, down to the penny. Marcus was drowning financially, not in obvious ways. He paid his bills, kept food on the table, but there was no margin for error, no savings. One medical emergency would destroy them, and he'd been doing this for 9 years. Raising a child alone on $38,000 a year in New York City. Harrison felt sick, not from disgust, from shame. He just signed off on a penthouse renovation that cost more than Marcus made in 5 years. He picked up his phone, put it down, picked it up again. What was he supposed to do? Call, show up, throw money at them? No. Money was what he always did. Money was the easy answer. Money was how he avoided actually being present. He needed to be better than that. Harrison pressed the intercom. "Jennifer, clear my schedule for tomorrow. All meetings. Everything." His assistant's voice crackled through, surprised. "Everything. Mr. Blake, you have the Singapore? Cancel it. Reschedule it. I don't care. Just clear it." A pause. "Is everything all right?" "No," Harrison said honestly, "but it will be." The next morning, Harrison went back to Greenwood Cemetery. He didn't call ahead, didn't make an appointment, just drove to the maintenance building and asked for Marcus Cole. The woman at the desk looked skeptical. "Marcus is working. Can I ask what this is about?" "It's personal." "Sir, I can't just—" "Please." Harrison met her eyes. "It's about his nephew, Henry. It's important." Something in his voice must have convinced her. She made a call. 5 minutes later, Marcus appeared, wearing work coveralls and boots, dirt on his hands. He stopped when he saw Harrison. His face hardened. "What are you doing here?" "I read the letter," Harrison said. "Sarah's letter. And I need to talk to you." Marcus glanced at his supervisor, who was watching with interest. "I'm working." "Take your break early," the supervisor called. "Go on." Marcus looked like he wanted to argue, but he walked outside. Harrison followed. They stood in the parking lot, afternoon sun beating down. "You had me investigated, didn't you?" Marcus said flatly. Harrison didn't deny it. "Yes." "Of course you did," Marcus laughed bitterly, "because that's what rich people do. They dig up information. They look for leverage." "I wanted to understand," Harrison said. "I wanted to know who's been raising my grandson, what his life is like." "And now you know I'm broke." Marcus's voice was hard. "Now you know I work a minimum wage job and live in a tiny apartment. So what? You going to try and take him? Hire lawyers? Prove I'm unfit?" "No." The word came out forcefully. "God, no. Marcus, I'm not here to take anything. I'm here to ask, to beg if I have to." Marcus crossed his arms. "Beg for what?" "A chance," Harrison said simply. "Sarah gave me one in that letter. She said I could try. I never got the chance then, but I'm asking for it now. Please, let me know my grandson." Marcus studied him for a long moment. "Why should I trust you?" "You shouldn't," Harrison admitted. "I haven't earned it, but I want to. Let me prove I'm serious." "How?" Harrison took a breath. This was the hard part, the part where he had to be vulnerable instead of powerful. "Sarah wrote in her letter that she wanted to give me another chance, but I had to really try. No cancellations, no phone calls during dinner, no choosing work over family." He looked Marcus in the eye. "I'm ready to try, whatever that means, whatever you need." "I need you to not hurt that kid," Marcus said. "He's been through hell, lost his parents, grown up without them. He's happy now. He's a good kid, smart, kind, funny, and I won't let you mess that up because you feel guilty." "I understand." "Do you?" Marcus stepped closer. "Because here's what I see, Mr. Blake. I see a man who ignored his daughter her whole life, Who missed birthdays and holidays and every important moment? Who only showed up when it was convenient? And now she's dead, and suddenly you care. That's not love. That's guilt. The words were knives, but Harrison didn't flinch. You're right. About all of it. I was a terrible father. I made terrible choices. I put work before family every single time, and I convinced myself it was necessary, that I was providing, building a legacy. But all I built was a wall between me and the people I loved. Marcus said nothing. But I'm asking anyway, Harrison continued. I'm asking because Henry is all I have left of Sarah. Because I want to be better. Because I hope that it's not too late to learn. Learn what? How to be a grandfather, how to show up, how to love someone without conditions or cancellations or excuses. Marcus's expression softened slightly. Sarah loved you, even after everything. She talked about you sometimes, about the good memories, the few times you were actually there. Harrison's throat tightened. What did she say? She said you used to read to her before bed when she was really little, before the company got big. She said you did all the voices, made her laugh. Marcus smiled sadly. She said those were her favorite memories, when you were just dad, not Harrison Blake, real estate mogul, just dad. Harrison remembered. God, he remembered. Sarah in her pajamas climbing into his lap with a book. He'd read Goodnight Moon so many times he'd memorized it. She'd giggle at his silly voices, beg for one more chapter, one more story. When had he stopped? When had work become more important than those bedtime stories? I want to do that again, Harrison said. I want to read to Henry. I want to be there for him the way I should have been there for Sarah. Please, Marcus, let me try. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance. Marcus looked away, jaw working. Finally, he spoke. 3 rules. You break any of them, you're done. No second chances. Okay. 1. You show up when you say you will. No cancellations unless it's life or death. No last-minute work emergencies. If you commit to something, you're there. I can do that. 2. You don't try to change Henry's life. No fancy schools or expensive gifts or trying to make him into some mini version of you. He's happy. He likes his life. You don't get to fix what isn't broken. Harrison wanted to argue, wanted to say that he could give Henry opportunities, advantages, but he bit his tongue. Understood. 3. You respect that I'm his guardian. I make the decisions, not you. No matter how much money you have or how much power you wield in your world, in Henry's world, I'm in charge. You're a guest. Act like one. That was the hardest one. Harrison was used to being in control, used to making decisions, used to his word being law. But this wasn't a boardroom. This was a family. And he was the outsider. I respect that, Harrison said. Those are fair rules. I'll follow them. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, then we can try. But we go slow, real slow. You don't just show up at our apartment. We meet in public, neutral territory, places where Henry feels safe. Whatever you think is best. And you talk to him, not at him, not like he's some business associate. You ask him questions. You listen. You care about the answers. I will. Marcus pulled out his phone. Give me your number. They exchanged information. Harrison's hand shook slightly as he typed. This felt more important than any deal he'd ever made. I'll call you, Marcus said. Set something up. Maybe this weekend. Somewhere public. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, Harrison said. Marcus, thank you. I know I don't deserve. You don't, Marcus interrupted. But Henry deserves a grandfather. And if you're willing to actually be one, then I'm willing to give you the chance. For him, not for you. I understand. Marcus turned to go back inside, then stopped. Mr. Blake, one more thing. Yes. Sarah loved you, despite everything. Remember that. Honor that. Don't waste this chance. Then he was gone, leaving Harrison standing in the parking lot with a phone number and a promise to do better. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., Prospect Park. Harrison had been awake since 5. He'd changed clothes 3 times, settled on jeans. When was the last time he'd worn jeans? And a simple sweater. Casual, approachable, normal. He felt ridiculous. At 9:45, he parked near the entrance Marcus had specified. The park was alive with families, kids on bikes, dogs chasing tennis balls, couples walking hand in hand. Normal life, the kind Harrison had forgotten existed. He saw them at exactly 10 a.m. Marcus in a jacket and jeans, Henry in an orange coat that was bright against the fall leaves. Henry spotted him first. He waved. Harrison's heart clenched. He waved back. They walked over. Henry looked curious but not scared. Marcus looked protective but willing. "Hi," Henry said. "You're the man from the cemetery, Mr. Blake." "You can call me Harrison," Harrison said. He knelt down to Henry's eye level. "Is that okay?" Henry considered this. "Uncle Marcus says you're my grandfather, but I've never had a grandfather before." "I know. And I'm sorry about that. I should have been here sooner." "Why weren't you?" The question was simple, direct, devastating. Harrison took a breath. "Because I made mistakes. A lot of mistakes. I wasn't there for your mom when she needed me, and I didn't know about you, but I'm here now, if you want me to be." Henry tilted his head, studying Harrison with those blue eyes. Sarah's eyes. "Do you like swings?" Henry asked. The change of subject caught Harrison off guard. I haven't been on a swing in 30 years. "But do you like them?" "I used to, when I was your age." Henry smiled. "Come on, I'll show you the good ones." He took off running toward the playground. Marcus and Harrison followed at a walk. "He's testing you," Marcus said quietly, "seeing if you'll play, if you're safe." "What should I do?" "Just be present. That's all. Don't overthink it." The playground was crowded, kids everywhere. Henry went straight to the swings, climbing onto one. "Can you push me?" he called. "Uncle Marcus has a bad shoulder. He can't push very high." Harrison approached the swing. It had been decades since he'd done this. Decades since he'd pushed Sarah on swings just like these. He placed his hands on Henry's back and pushed gently. "Higher!" Henry called. Harrison pushed harder. Henry swung up, legs kicking out. "Higher!" Again. Henry went higher, laughing now. The sound was pure joy. Harrison pushed again and again, finding a rhythm. Henry's laughter rang out across the playground. Other parents smiled. Kids shouted. The world was bright and alive and full of possibility. And Harrison felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been frozen for years. "This is fun!" Henry shouted. "Push me to the sky!" "To the sky," Harrison agreed. His voice was thick. He pushed. Henry soared. And for the first time in a decade, Harrison Blake felt like maybe, just maybe, he could be something other than a failure. Maybe he could be a grandfather. 2 weeks later, Marcus agreed to bring Henry to Harrison's penthouse. The decision came after 4 more park meetings, each one easier than the last. Henry had started calling him Grandpa Harrison, tentatively at first, then with more confidence, but Marcus had been clear on the phone. 1 hour, that's it. And if Henry gets uncomfortable, we leave. No arguments. Understood, Harrison had said. Now they stood in the private elevator, rising 63 floors. Henry's face was pressed against the glass wall, watching the city shrink beneath them. "Whoa," he breathed. "We're so high up. Are we going to the clouds?" "Almost," Harrison said. His hands were sweating. He'd had his housekeeper clean everything twice, remove anything too expensive or fragile. Make it look less like a museum and more like a home. It hadn't worked. The penthouse was still cold, still glass and steel. The elevator doors opened directly into his living room. Henry stepped out, eyes going wide. "This is where you live?" His voice echoed in the vast space. "It's bigger than our whole building." Marcus's jaw tightened. Harrison saw the discomfort on his face, the reminder of the enormous gap between their worlds. "It's too big," Harrison said honestly. "I've always thought so, just never knew what to do about it." Henry walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Manhattan sprawled below, tiny cars and tinier people. "You can see everything from here. It's like being a bird." "Your mom used to say that too," Harrison said softly. "When she was little, I brought her here once. She said she felt like she could fly." Henry turned, interested. "Mom was here?" "A few times. Not enough." Harrison gestured to the hallway. "Would you like to see something? Something that belonged to her?" Marcus nodded permission. Henry followed Harrison down the hall to a door Harrison rarely opened. His home office, but not the working one. This was different, smaller, personal. He opened the door. Inside, the walls were covered with photographs. Sarah at every age. Baby pictures, school photos, a few candid shots from holidays and birthdays Harrison had actually attended, and in the corner, a wooden chest. "Is that a treasure box?" Henry asked. Sort of, Harrison said. He knelt beside it, hands shaking slightly as he opened the lid. These are things your mom made, things she loved. I kept them all. Inside were Sarah's art projects from elementary school, her terrible pottery from middle school, sketchbooks filled with drawings, a worn copy of the Velveteen Rabbit with crayon marks on the pages, a small stuffed lion with one eye missing. Henry reached in carefully, like the items might break. He pulled out a sketchbook, opened it. She was really good at drawing, he said, flipping through pages of landscapes, portraits, designs for buildings that existed only in Sarah's imagination. She wanted to be an architect, Harrison said. Did you know that? Uncle Marcus said she was going to college for it. She was. Harrison pointed to one drawing, a small cabin by a lake surrounded by trees. She drew this one over and over, said it was her dream house, where she'd live when she had a family. Henry traced the lines with his finger. It looks nice, peaceful. It does. Henry flipped more pages, stopped. His breath caught. On the page was a pencil sketch of a baby, just lines and shading, but clearly a baby, sleeping peacefully, and in Sarah's handwriting at the bottom, my son, my dream. She drew me, Henry whispered. Before I was born, she drew me. Harrison looked over his shoulder. He'd never seen this page before, never looked through all the sketchbooks. His vision blurred. She was so excited to meet you, Harrison said. She told Marcus that, said you were the best thing that ever happened to her. Henry touched the drawing gently. I wish I remembered her. Uncle Marcus tells me stories, but I was too little. I don't remember her voice or her face, just pictures. Marcus, standing in the doorway, wiped his eyes quickly. Harrison pulled out another item from the chest, a small necklace with a silver lion pendant. She wore this every day in high school, said it made her brave. Can I hold it? Harrison placed it in Henry's palm. The boy closed his fingers around it. Why a lion? Henry asked. Because of the book, Harrison said, picking up the Velveteen Rabbit. There's a lion in this story. A wise, old stuffed lion who tells the rabbit what it means to be real. Your mom loved that part. She said being real meant being loved, even when you're scared or broken or not perfect. Henry looked at the book, then at the necklace, then at the drawing. She was real. Yes, Harrison said, she was very real. They sat on the floor for 20 minutes, Henry exploring the memory box while Harrison told stories. Some happy, some sad. All true. Finally, Marcus cleared his throat. Henry, buddy, we should probably go. It's almost dinner time. Already? Henry looked disappointed. You can come back, Harrison said. The words came out before he could stop them. He looked at Marcus. If that's okay. If you want to. Marcus hesitated. We'll see. As they stood to leave, Henry hugged the sketchbook to his chest. Can I borrow this? I'll be really careful. I just want to look at her drawings. Harrison's throat tightened. You can keep it. It should be yours. Really? Really? Henry's face lit up. Then, without warning, he threw his arms around Harrison's waist. The hug was quick, awkward, perfect. Thanks, Grandpa Harrison, he said. This was nice. Not scary like I thought. Scary? Harrison knelt down. You were scared to come here. A little, Henry admitted. Uncle Marcus said you were really rich and important. I thought you might be mean, but you're not. You're just sad. The observation was so simple, so honest. It took Harrison's breath away. I am sad, he admitted. But seeing you makes me less sad. Is that okay? Henry nodded seriously. Yeah, you make me less sad too, because you loved Mom, and now you're here. After they left, Harrison stood in his empty penthouse. It felt different now, less like a tomb, more like it had potential, like maybe it could be a place where people actually lived instead of just existed. He picked up his phone and called his housekeeper. Maria, I need you to do something for me. Convert the guest bedroom. Make it kid-friendly. Paint, decorations, whatever a 9-year-old boy would like. I don't care what it costs. Just make it warm. 3 days later, Harrison's phone rang at 9 p.m. Marcus's name on the screen. Hello? We need to talk. Marcus's voice was tight. Can you come over? Harrison's stomach dropped. Is Henry okay? He's fine. Just, can you come? Now? I'll be there in 30 minutes. Harrison grabbed his keys and drove to Crown Heights. He'd never been to their apartment. Marcus had made it clear that space was private, but now he was being invited. No, summoned. The building was old but well-maintained. Harrison climbed 3 flights of stairs, found apartment 3B, knocked. Marcus opened the door. He looked exhausted. "Come in." The apartment was small, lived in. A couch with worn cushions, a kitchen visible through an open doorway, drawings on the refrigerator, shoes by the door. Real life. Henry was asleep on the couch, sketchbook open on his chest. "He fell asleep looking at Sarah's drawings," Marcus said quietly. "He's been looking at them every night since you gave him the book." "That's not why you called me here," Harrison said. "No." Marcus sat down heavily at the small kitchen table, gestured for Harrison to sit. "I got a call today, from work. They're promoting me to crew supervisor, 8,000 more a year, better hours, benefits. That's good news." "Is it?" Marcus looked at him sharply. "Did you have anything to do with this?" Harrison kept his face neutral. "Why would I?" "Because you're Harrison Blake. Because you probably looked into my financial situation and decided to fix it. Because that's what rich people do. They pull strings and throw money around and pretend they're helping." "I didn't pull any strings," Harrison said honestly. "I made a call to confirm you were a good employee. That's all. Someone asked if I knew you. I said yes. I said you were reliable and hardworking. Nothing more. Someone asked if you knew me." Marcus's voice was flat. "Someone from the cemetery?" "The owner. We've done business together. He's developing a property near Greenwood. He called to talk about permits. Your name came up. He mentioned the promotion. I said you deserved it." "And that's all?" "That's all." Harrison met his eyes. "I didn't buy you the job, Marcus. You earned it. I just confirmed what they already knew, that you're good at what you do." Marcus studied him for a long moment. Then his shoulders sagged. "I'm sorry. I'm protective. Of Henry. Of our life. I don't want your money changing things." "I understand, but Marcus, I need you to understand something too." Harrison leaned forward. "I'm not trying to buy my way into Henry's life. I'm not trying to fix everything with money. But I also can't pretend that money doesn't exist. And if me making one phone call, one honest reference, helps you provide better for Henry, then I'm not going to apologize for it. It feels like charity. It's not. You worked at that cemetery for 7 years. You earned this promotion. I just didn't stand in the way of you getting it." Marcus was quiet. Finally, he nodded. Okay, I believe you. Good. But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "No more surprises. If you're going to do something that affects us, anything, you tell me first. No secret phone calls. No mysterious opportunities. We talk about it. Agree?" "Agreed." Marcus relaxed slightly. He got up, moved to the refrigerator, pulled out 2 beers, handed one to Harrison. "I never thanked you," Marcus said, sitting back down. "For being decent. For not trying to take him away or control everything. I expected that. Expected you to be like what Sarah described. But you're different than I thought." "I'm trying to be," Harrison said. "I don't know if I'm succeeding." "You are." Marcus took a drink. "Henry talks about you. He asked me yesterday if we could invite you to his school concert. It's next Friday. Nothing fancy. Just the elementary school band murdering some simple songs. But he wants you there." Harrison's chest tightened. "I'll be there. He plays recorder. He's terrible at it." Marcus smiled slightly. "But he practices every day. He takes it seriously." "I'll be there," Harrison repeated. "Front row." "Middle row," Marcus corrected. "Parents sit in the middle. Front row is for teachers." "Middle row, then." They drank their beers in comfortable silence. Henry snored softly on the couch. "He looks like her when he sleeps," Harrison said. "He does. Sometimes it hurts to look at him. Sometimes it's the only thing that keeps me going." Harrison understood that. Both parts. "Can I ask you something?" Harrison said. "Sure." "Why did you do it? Take him in, raise him. You were what, 27 when the accident happened? You could have had your own life." Marcus looked at Henry. "He is my life. He was Adrian's son. Adrian was my brother in every way that mattered. And Sarah," his voice caught. "Sarah was family too. How could I not take care of their son?" "A lot of people would have found reasons not to. A lot of people didn't love them like I did." Marcus finished his beer. "Besides, Henry needed me, and I needed him. We saved each other. Harrison felt a stab of jealousy, not malicious, just painful recognition that this man, this stranger who worked at a cemetery, had been there for Henry in all the ways Harrison had never been there for Sarah. I envy you, Harrison said quietly. You got to be what I never was. Present, constant, real. You can be that now. Can I? Or am I just going through the motions because I feel guilty? Marcus considered the question seriously. I don't know. Does it matter? Henry doesn't care why you're here. He just cares that you are. Kids don't analyze motives. They just respond to love. What if I mess it up? You will, Marcus said bluntly. You'll make mistakes. Everyone does. But mistakes you can learn from. Absence you can't. Harrison nodded slowly. On the couch, Henry stirred, mumbled something in his sleep, settled again. You should go, Marcus said. Early morning tomorrow. Always. Harrison stood, paused. Marcus, thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you for not wasting it. Friday evening, PS 321 Elementary School Auditorium. Harrison arrived 20 minutes early, wearing jeans and a sweater. He'd learned that overdressing made people uncomfortable, made him look like he was trying too hard. The auditorium was already filling with parents. Excited chatter, kids peeking out from backstage. The smell of elementary school, pencil shavings and industrial cleaner, and something indefinably young. Harrison found Marcus easily. He was in the middle section, third row, saving a seat. You came, Marcus said, surprised despite himself. I said I would. I know. But I've learned that what people say and what they do are often different things. Harrison sat down. Not anymore. Not with me. Marcus studied him, then nodded. Okay. The lights dimmed. The principal made announcements. Then the third grade band filed out, 20 kids holding recorders and small percussion instruments, looking nervous and excited. Henry was in the back row, recorder clutched in both hands. His eyes scanned the audience, found Marcus, then Harrison. His face broke into a huge smile. He waved. Harrison waved back, his heart full. The concert was exactly as bad as Marcus had warned. The recorders were off-key. The percussion was off-beat. 2 kids dropped their instruments. One started crying and had to be led off stage. It was perfect. Harrison watched Henry play, tongue sticking out in concentration, fingers fumbling on the holes. The boy was terrible. Objectively, musically, undeniably terrible. Harrison had never been prouder of anything in his life. After the concert, parents mingled in the hallway. Henry ran up, still clutching his recorder. Did you hear me? I only messed up twice. You were wonderful, Harrison said honestly. I wasn't. But that's okay. Mrs. Chen says practice makes progress. Not perfect. Mrs. Chen sounds wise. Henry beamed, then his face fell slightly. Some kids were asking why I have 2 dads. Tommy said it was weird. Marcus tensed. What did you say? I said I have Uncle Marcus who takes care of me, and Grandpa Harrison who's new but trying really hard, and that my real dad died with my mom, but families come in all different shapes. Henry looked worried. Was that okay? That was more than okay, Harrison said. That was exactly right. Tommy said his family is normal and mine isn't. Harrison knelt down. You know what normal is? It's a setting on a washing machine, that's all. Every family is different, and yours is perfect just the way it is. Henry giggled. A washing machine. That's funny. Marcus caught Harrison's eye, mouthed thank you, but the moment was interrupted by a woman's voice, sharp and carrying. Marcus Cole, is that you? They turned. A woman in expensive clothes was striding toward them, designer purse swinging. Late 40s, blonde, coldly beautiful. Marcus's face went pale. Mrs. Foster. I thought that was you, and this must be Henry. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. My, he's gotten big. How old now? 9. Yeah, Henry said quietly. He moved closer to Marcus. Mrs. Foster was Elena's friend, Marcus said tightly. From before. I was more than a friend, the woman said. Elena and I were sorority sisters, stayed close after college. She talked about you all the time, Marcus, and the baby she was helping raise. Such a tragedy. Harrison's instincts, honed from decades of business negotiations, were screaming. This woman was dangerous. It's nice to see you, Marcus said, not meaning it. But we should go. Of course, I'm sure you're busy. Mrs. Foster's gaze slid to Harrison. Recognition flickered. Wait, you're Harrison Blake. The Harrison Blake. I am. And you're here because… She looked between them, calculating. Oh my God, you're the grandfather, aren't you? Sarah's father. Elena mentioned you once. Said you didn't even know about the baby. Marcus's hand tightened on Henry's shoulder. That's personal information, Harrison said coolly. Not for public discussion. Public? Darling, this is practically a human interest story. Estranged billionaire grandfather discovers he has a grandson being raised in poverty by the family's friend. It's very Hallmark. We're not in poverty, Marcus said. Of course not. I didn't mean to imply, but her tone said otherwise. I'm just surprised. Harrison Blake at an elementary school concert. I didn't think you did this. She gestured at the school, the parents, the normalcy. You don't know me, Harrison said. I know your reputation. Everyone does. Brilliant businessman, ruthless negotiator, terrible family man. Sorry, but it's what people say, that you sacrificed everything for your empire, and now here you are, playing grandfather. How quaint. Harrison felt his temper rising. He forced it down. If you'll excuse us. I'm just saying. It must be hard for Marcus, raising someone else's child on a cemetery worker's salary while the grandfather has billions. Seems unbalanced, doesn't it? I'm managing fine, Marcus said. Are you? That's wonderful. Although Elena used to worry. She told me once that if anything happened to her, she wasn't sure you could handle it. Financially, I mean. She was going to update her will, get some things in order, but she never got the chance. Marcus looked like he'd been slapped. That's enough, Harrison said. His voice was ice. Mrs. Foster, was it? This conversation is over. I'm not trying to cause trouble, she said, but her eyes said otherwise. I just think it's interesting. The different worlds this boy straddles. Poverty and privilege. Such a compelling story. Henry isn't a story, Harrison said. He's a child, and you're making him uncomfortable. Leave. Now. Mrs. Foster's smile sharpened. I'll go, but Mr. Blake? People talk. They always do. Especially when there's something interesting to talk about. You might want to remember that. She walked away, heels clicking on the linoleum. Henry looked up at Marcus, confused. Why was she mean? Some people are just like that, buddy, Marcus said. His voice was shaking. Let's go home. In the parking lot, Marcus leaned against his car, head in his hands. She's going to talk, he said. She's going to tell people, and then everyone will know. Everyone will have opinions. Let them, Harrison said. Who cares? I care. Henry cares. He just told me kids are already asking questions. What happens when they find out his grandfather is Harrison Blake? When they learn about the money, the power? He'll never be normal again. He's not normal now, Harrison said gently. He's special. He's survived things most kids can't imagine. He's kind and smart and resilient. That's not normal. That's extraordinary. But he wants to be normal. He wants to fit in. He will. Kids are adaptable. They'll adjust. Will they? Marcus looked at him. Or will they treat him different? Use him? Hurt him because he's connected to you? Harrison had no answer for that. Henry was in the car, waiting, looking worried. I don't know, Harrison admitted. But we'll figure it out. Together. That's what families do. Are we? Marcus asked quietly. A family? I think we're becoming one. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay. But Harrison, no more public outings for a while. We need to keep this quiet. Let Henry adjust before the world finds out. Agreed. But as Harrison drove home, he had a sinking feeling. Mrs. Foster had already set something in motion, and he wasn't sure any of them were ready for what came next. The article appeared 4 days later, page 6 of the New York Post. Small, but deadly. Billionaire's secret grandson, Harrison Blake, Manhattan real estate mogul, recently discovered he has a 9-year-old grandson being raised in Brooklyn by a cemetery worker. Sources say Blake had no knowledge of the child's existence until recently. The boy's mother, Blake's estranged daughter Sarah, died 10 years ago in a car accident. Questions arise about why Blake remained absent from his grandson's life and what role, if any, he'll play now. Harrison read it 3 times. His coffee went cold. His phone started ringing. Reporters, gossip columnists, business associates asking questions. He ignored them all and called Marcus. "Have you seen it?" Marcus asked immediately. "Yes." Reporters came to Henry's school. They took pictures. The principal had to call security. "I'm sorry." Sorry doesn't fix this. Henry came home crying because kids were pointing at him, calling him the poor boy with the rich grandpa. One kid asked if he was going to be a prince now. Harrison closed his eyes. "I'll fix it." "How?" "You can't unring this bell." "I can try. Let me handle this." "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Marcus said. "Your world contaminating ours, making everything complicated." "Marcus, I need to go. Henry needs me." The line went dead. Harrison sat in his office, surrounded by glass and steel and money that suddenly felt worthless. He'd built an empire, crushed competitors, won every battle that mattered in business. But he was losing the only war that actually counted. His phone rang again. This time, a number he hadn't seen in 4 years. "James," Harrison answered, heart pounding. "Hello?" "Is it true?" His son's voice, older, harder, but still his son's voice. "Do you have a grandson? Sarah's son?" "Yes." Silence. Then, "And you didn't tell me. I had to read about my nephew in the goddamn Post?" "James, I was gonna call." "When?" "After you got him all settled? After you decided if he was worth your time? Like you did with Sarah? That's not fair." "Isn't it? Dad, you have a grandson. My nephew. Sarah's son, and I'm finding out from a gossip column. Do you have any idea how that feels?" Harrison had no defense. "You're right. I should have called you. I should have told you immediately." "Why didn't you?" "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't know how to tell you that I failed Sarah so completely that she never even told me she was pregnant, that she died, and I didn't know she had a child, that I've missed 9 years of his life." James was quiet for a moment. "What's his name?" "Henry. Henry Harrison Cole." "She named him after you?" "Yes." "Jesus." A shaky breath. "What's he like?" Harrison's throat tightened. "He's wonderful. He's smart and kind, and he has Sarah's eyes. He plays recorder terribly. He builds stone pyramids at her grave. He laughs at bad jokes. He's everything I never got to see in Sarah when she was growing up because I was too busy being important. I want to meet him." "James, I'm serious. He's my nephew. He's family. And I've already missed 9 years. I'm not missing more." Harrison felt something crack open in his chest. Hope. Terrifying and fragile. "I'll have to ask Marcus. He's Henry's guardian. He makes the decisions." "Then ask him. Please, Dad, give me a chance to do this right, to be better than we were." "We?" "I wasn't there for Sarah either. I was angry at you, and I punished her by extension. I was a terrible brother. Let me try to be a good uncle." Harrison couldn't speak for a moment. "I'll ask. I'll call you back." "Okay, Dad." "Yes." "Don't screw this up. For once in your life, put family first." Harrison drove to Brooklyn that evening. Didn't call ahead, just went. Marcus answered the door, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "Can we talk?" "Please." Marcus hesitated, then stepped aside. Henry was at the kitchen table doing homework. He looked up, smiled tentatively. "Hi, Grandpa Harrison." "Hi, Henry. How was school?" The boy's face fell. "Not great. Everyone keeps asking me questions. If you're really my grandpa, if I'm gonna be rich now, if I live in a mansion." "What did you tell them?" "That you're my grandpa and you're nice, and that I live here with Uncle Marcus. But they don't believe me. They think I'm lying." Marcus put a hand on Henry's shoulder. "Buddy, can you go play in your room for a bit? Grandpa Harrison and I need to talk." "Am I in trouble?" "No," both men said simultaneously. Henry gathered his homework and left. As soon as his door closed, Marcus turned on Harrison. "You see what you've done. He's miserable, confused, all because of your world bleeding into ours." "I know. And I'm sorry." "But Marcus, running from this won't make it go away. People know now. We can't change that. What we can do is control how we respond." "How?" "By being honest, by being united, by showing Henry that this doesn't change who he is or what matters." Marcus crossed his arms. "Easy for you to say." "It's not easy. Nothing about this is easy, but hiding won't help. I learned that with Sarah. avoiding the hard conversations, pretending problems didn't exist. It destroyed our relationship. I won't make that mistake with Henry. Marcus studied him. What do you suggest? First, I'll issue a statement. Something simple. Confirming the facts, asking for privacy, making it clear that Henry's well-being is the priority. It won't stop the gossip, but it might slow it down. And second, Harrison took a breath. My son called me. James. He wants to meet Henry. Marcus went very still. Sarah's brother. Yes, he read the article. He's angry I didn't tell him sooner. But he wants to be part of Henry's life, if you'll allow it. Another Blake, Marcus said quietly. Another complication. Or another family member, Harrison countered. Someone else who loved Sarah. Someone who wants to know her son. What if he's like you were? Absent. Unreliable. He might be. But he's asking for the chance to try. Same as I did. And you gave me that chance. Will you give him one too? Marcus walked to the window, looked out at the Brooklyn street. Cars passing. People walking dogs. Normal life that felt increasingly distant. I don't want Henry hurt, he said finally. That's all I care about. Not the money, or the drama, or any of it. Just Henry being okay. I know. Me too. If I agree to this, if I let James meet him, you promise it won't turn into a circus? That you'll protect him? I promise. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay. Set it up. Somewhere public. Neutral. Like with you. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If this goes wrong, if any of this hurts him more than it helps, I'm done. With all of you. I'll take him and disappear if I have to. Do you understand? I understand. Marcus called Henry back out. The boy emerged cautiously. Everything okay? He asked. Yes, Marcus said. Henry, Grandpa Harrison told me that your mom had a brother, your Uncle James, and he'd like to meet you if you want to meet him. Henry's eyes widened. I have an uncle? You do, Harrison said. He's my son. He's a bit older than your mom was. He's an architect. He lives in Boston, and he's very sorry he hasn't met you yet. Does he look like Mom? A little. Same nose. Same stubborn chin. Henry smiled. Okay. I want to meet him. Are you sure? Marcus asked. It's okay to say no. I'm sure. Maybe he can tell me stories about Mom. Things you and Grandpa Harrison don't know. Harrison and Marcus exchanged glances. The boy was wiser than either of them had given him credit for. Then we'll set it up, Harrison said. Maybe this weekend? Can we go to the museum? Henry asked. The Kids Museum in Manhattan? I went once on a field trip. It was awesome. The Children's Museum it is. Saturday afternoon, the Children's Museum of Manhattan. Harrison arrived first, nervous in a way he hadn't been since his first board meeting 40 years ago. James arrived 5 minutes later. Harrison hadn't seen his son in 4 years. He looked older, tired, but when he saw Harrison, something flickered in his eyes. Not quite forgiveness, but not quite hatred either. Dad, James. They stood awkwardly. 4 years of silence between them, a canyon of resentment and regret. Thank you for coming, Harrison said. I'm not here for you. I'm here for Henry. I know. Marcus and Henry arrived 10 minutes late. Henry looked nervous, clutching Marcus's hand. When he saw Harrison, he relaxed slightly. Then he saw James. James knelt down immediately. Hi, Henry. I'm James, your Uncle James. Henry studied him. You look like the pictures of Mom. Your eyes are the same. James's eyes filled with tears. Yeah, I always thought she got the better version. Prettier. Mom was really pretty, Henry agreed. Uncle Marcus has pictures. Maybe you could show me sometime? Okay. They went inside. The museum was crowded with kids and parents, noise and chaos and life. Henry led them to different exhibits, explaining things with 9-year-old enthusiasm. James hung on every word, asked questions, listened, engaged. Harrison watched his son with his grandson and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride, not in business accomplishments or financial victories. Pride in watching his son be present, be kind, be there. At one exhibit, a construction zone where kids could build structures, Henry and James worked together on a small house. Henry designed, James executed. They worked seamlessly, like they'd known each other for years instead of hours. You're good at this, Henry said. I'm an architect. It's kind of my thing. Mom wanted to be an architect too. James's hand stilled. I know, we used to talk about it. When she was little, she'd draw buildings, and I'd tell her how to make them structurally sound. Really? Really? She was talented. Could have been great at it. Uncle Marcus says she was great at everything. She was. James looked at Henry. And you know what? I bet you will be too, because you have her eyes, and her smile, and probably her talent. Henry beamed. They spent 3 hours at the museum. At the end, Henry hugged James goodbye. The hug was genuine, warm. Can I see you again? Henry asked. Any time you want, James said. His voice was thick. I live in Boston, but I can come down on weekends, if that's okay with Uncle Marcus. Marcus, who'd been watching carefully the whole time, nodded. That's okay. In the parking lot, after Marcus and Henry had left, James turned to Harrison. He's amazing, James said. Dad, he's incredible. Sarah would be so proud. She would. I'm angry at you. I'm still angry. You miss so much. With me, with Sarah. You can't get that back. I know. But Henry deserves better. He deserves family. All of us. Even you. I'm trying. I see that. I saw it today. You were present. Actually present. It's weird. I'm not used to it. Harrison almost smiled. Neither am I. Can I give you some advice? Please. Don't make grand gestures. Don't try to fix everything with money or power. Just show up. Consistently. Boringly. Like you did today. That's all he needs. That's all any of us ever needed. You sound like Marcus. Marcus sounds smart. They stood in awkward silence. Then James held out his hand. Harrison took it. I'm not ready to have dinner, James said, or call you regularly, or pretend the past didn't happen. I understand, but I'm willing to try for Henry, and maybe, eventually, for us. That's more than I deserve. Yeah, James agreed. It is. Don't waste it. He walked to his car, leaving Harrison standing in the parking lot, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 months later, late January, cold but clear. Harrison had invited everyone to something he'd been working on in secret. Marcus had been suspicious. No surprises, remember? He'd said. This is a good surprise, Harrison had promised. Trust me. Now they were driving north from the city, Harrison in the lead, Marcus and Henry following. Behind them, James's car, and in the fourth car, someone Harrison had reached out to, despite his fear. Catherine. His ex-wife had been shocked to hear from him, even more shocked to learn about Henry. You kept a grandson from me? She'd asked, voice sharp. I didn't keep him from you. I didn't know about him either, but I'm telling you now. And I'd like you to meet him, if you're willing. There had been a long silence. Then, I'll think about it. Catherine had spent the night after that phone call pacing her apartment, unable to sit still. Shock kept rolling through her in waves. Sarah had a son, a grandson, a part of her daughter still alive. But just beneath the shock was fear. What if she didn't deserve to meet him? What if her presence only made everything worse? She hadn't been the mother Sarah needed. How could she possibly be the grandmother this boy needed? Still, the thought of doing nothing, of letting another decade of silence repeat itself, was unbearable. Catherine knew that if she stayed home, she'd regret it for the rest of her life. So when she finally called Harrison back, her voice steadier than she felt, she said yes. Not because she was ready. She wasn't. But because she couldn't ignore this chance to be better than she had been before. Now they were all driving to upstate New York, to a lake. To a surprise Harrison had spent months preparing. They pulled up to a cabin, small, rustic, beautiful, surrounded by trees facing a frozen lake. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. Henry jumped out of the car, staring. This looks like the drawing, Harrison finished. Sarah's drawing, from her sketchbook. Henry's mouth fell open. You built Mom's dream house? I bought it, Harrison corrected. Someone else built it 30 years ago, but when I saw it, I knew. It was exactly what she'd drawn, what she'd dreamed about. Marcus got out slowly, staring at the cabin. Harrison, what is this? A place, Harrison said simply. A place for all of us, for Henry to visit, for family gatherings, for making new memories. I put it in a trust. For Henry. When he turns 18, it'll be his. But until then, it's ours. All of ours. Catherine emerged from her car, elegant, even in winter clothes. She looked at the cabin. Oi. Then at Harrison. This is beautiful, she said quietly. Thank you for coming, Harrison said. Thank you for inviting me. Her eyes found Henry. Is that him? That's him. She walked over slowly. Henry watched her approach, uncertain. Hello, Henry, Catherine said. I'm Catherine. I was your mom's mother, which makes me your grandmother, if you'll have me. Henry looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragement. Hi, Henry said. Did you know my mom when she was little? I did. I knew her for her whole life, and I have so many stories to tell you, if you'd like to hear them. I would. Catherine's face crumpled. She knelt down, and Henry, with the easy affection of children, hugged her. She held him tight, crying silently. James stood with Harrison, watching. You did good, Dad. I'm trying. No, you did it. This. He gestured at the cabin, at Catherine and Henry, at Marcus standing protectively close, at all of them together. This is family, real family. Sarah would love this. Yet inside, the cabin was warm. Harrison had hired people to prepare it. A fire in the fireplace, hot cider on the stove, food for dinner. They spent the evening together, all of them. Marcus told stories about Henry's early years. Catherine shared memories of Sarah as a child. James talked about Sarah's architectural dreams. Harrison mostly listened, contributing when asked, but mainly just present. Henry sat on the floor by the fire, surrounded by family, and looked happy, really happy. At one point, he came over to Harrison. Grandpa Harrison, thank you. This is the best present anyone ever gave me. You're welcome, buddy. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why now? Why did you decide to be here now? Harrison thought about the question, the real question. Why had it taken a stranger at his daughter's grave to wake him up? Why had it taken a 9-year-old boy to make him see what mattered? Because I met you, he said honestly, and you made me realize what I'd lost, what I'd wasted, and I decided I didn't want to waste any more time. Are you glad you did decide that? Harrison looked around the cabin, at Catherine laughing at something Marcus said, at James helping Henry roast marshmallows, at this strange, cobbled-together family that shouldn't work but somehow did. Yes, he said. I'm glad. Are you? Henry considered this with the seriousness only a 9-year-old can muster. Yeah, I think Mom would be glad too. She loved you. Uncle Marcus told me, even when she was sad, she still loved you. I loved her too. I just didn't know how to show it. You're showing it now. With me. That counts. Out of the mouths of babes. That night, after dinner, they all walked down to the lake. The ice was thick, safe. They stood in a circle. Harrison, Marcus, Henry, James, Catherine. 5 people bound by love and loss and the fragile hope of new beginnings. Catherine pulled out a candle. I brought this for Sarah. I thought we could light it. Say something. For her. Together. They lit the candle. It flickered in the cold air but didn't go out. Sarah, Catherine said, voice shaking, we miss you every day. But we're here, all of us, taking care of your son, becoming a family, like you always wanted us to be. We're sorry we weren't this family when you were alive, James added. But we're trying now. For Henry. For you. Marcus didn't speak, just wiped his eyes. Harrison cleared his throat. Sarah, I failed you. In every way a father can fail a daughter, but you gave me one last gift, Henry. And I promise you, I won't fail him. I'll show up. I'll be present. I'll be the grandfather you wanted me to be, the father I should have been to you. Henry looked up at all of them. I wish I remembered her, but Uncle Marcus says she's always with us, in our hearts, and I think he's right, because I feel her sometimes, like she's watching, making sure I'm okay. She is, Catherine whispered. She absolutely is. They stood in silence, watching the candle burn. The wind picked up, but the flame held steady. Henry stepped forward and placed a stone on the ice. His ritual, his way of saying, I was here. One by one, the others did the same. Harrison last. He placed his stone carefully next to Henry's. We're not perfect, he said quietly. We're broken in a lot of ways. But we're here, and we're trying. And maybe that's what family really is. Not perfection, just people who keep showing up, even when it's hard. Marcus put a hand on his shoulder. The gesture said everything words couldn't. They walked back to the cabin together, Henry in the middle, holding Harrison's hand on one side and Marcus's on the other. James and Catherine behind them, talking quietly. A family, strange and complicated and cobbled together from grief and guilt and grace, but a family nonetheless. Inside, Henry fell asleep on the couch. Ouch! Curled up under a blanket. Harrison sat nearby, watching him breathe. This boy, this unexpected gift, this last chance at redemption. Marcus sat down beside him. You did good today. Thank you for letting me, for giving me the chance. Thank you for taking it, for being who Henry needed. I'm still learning. We all are. Catherine joined them, James behind her. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fire, watching Henry sleep, watching the beginning of something none of them had expected but all of them desperately needed. To Sarah, Catherine said softly, raising her cider mug. To Sarah, they echoed. And in that moment, Harrison Blake, who had spent 54 years building an empire of glass and steel, finally understood what it meant to build a home. Not a building, a home, where love lived, where family gathered, where forgiveness was possible and second chances were real. Henry stirred in his sleep, smiled, settled deeper into the blanket. And Harrison knew. This was what Sarah had drawn all those years ago. Not just a cabin by a lake, but a place where love could heal, where family could gather, where broken people could become whole. Her dream had come true, just not the way anyone expected. But maybe that was the point. Maybe dreams never come true exactly as we imagine them. Maybe they come true in the ways we need them most. Harrison looked at his grandson, his son, his ex-wife, the man who'd raised the boy he'd never known existed. And for the first time in a decade, maybe in his entire life, he felt something other than the hollow ache of regret. He felt gratitude. He felt peace. He felt home.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.